The topic of today's show is conscious community super seniors. Just because you've been in school the longest doesn't mean you're the smartest. Why have people who have been a part of the cultural conscious community so long they should be eligible for retirement and a pension still not figured out and embraced nationhood and real Black African power? Please call into the show so we can figure out how to get these people to their graduation ceremony. 1. Now, the reason why I came up with this show, on a personal level, I feel like the BAIO and all of its members, who've done shows and who are out there pushing the talking points of land, infrastructure, and nationhood, I believe, and, people can correct me if I'm wrong, with all of the events that's happening to our people, all the police brutality, all of the neglect, like in the Flint, Michigan situation, all of our suffering because we don't control the infrastructure that we live in. People want to push Black power, but they don't want to control, the context, the socioeconomic and political context that they exist in. They don't want to control the hard infrastructure. They don't want to control the soft infrastructure. In fact, they don't even know what infrastructure even is. And like I said, I compare it to a fish that's not familiar with water, because it's so used to just being around it and in it that it doesn't have any objectivity where you can look at it and say, oh, wow, check out this water. It's like you've been around it so much and in it so much that you just take it for granted. And the Flint, Michigan situation is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's like we've been talking about infrastructure and controlling the infrastructure and how vulnerable we are because we don't control it. And we've been getting argued at and resistant and hostility and all kinds of stuff against it. But then here comes Flint, Michigan, showing, underlining and bolding and period and exclamation pointing and putting everything else on what we've been talking about. So I feel at this point that this is like beating what they say, a dead horse. It's like I think that we've totally and completely smashed anybody out here talking about building a nation inside of the United States of America. But apparently, we still haven't. Apparently, there's still people who are pushing this talking point. This, we can do it right here. We were here first. Our ancestors bled and shed blood, sweat, and tears for America, so this is ours, and all this other crazy shit that don't really mean anything but sounds really good. We still getting that. So as long as we still getting that, I'm going to keep clowning niggas. I'm sorry. That's just what I do. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to just keep clowning you until you're afraid to start saying that shit anymore. And our people are getting real hip to it. You know what I'm saying? Our people are getting really hip to it. Our people are really dismissing you as a clown when you bring that stuff up. The people with intelligence, the people who are not super seniors. Now, what do I mean by conscious community super seniors? Well, what's a super senior? Somebody that's in high school where you're supposed to get out in 4 years, and they've been there for like 5 and 6, which is really remarkable considering that most of the time, as long as you just show up to the school, they're pushing you through. They'll push you through off of attendance, and you can graduate, just because you've been there. But when you can be in a 4-year school for 5 and 6 years, you are considered a super senior. And the same thing applies to the so-called conscious community, cultural conscious community. There's people that's been in this game for a while, and yet they still are pushing these old, antiquated talking points and these old, antiquated tactics. They're still marching. They're still protesting. They're still engaged in a war with the white man, which is why I played that Batman and Joker at the beginning of the show. As a matter of fact, in case anybody missed it, I want to play it again. Because I've always said that we are Batman and the white man is the Joker. And instead of us trying to gain power and actually do something about our situation, we feel more comfortable being engaged in a battle of wits and a back and forth with him. It's like that becomes our main concern, and everything else is just in the background. So check this out.
You just couldn't let me go, could you? This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. You truly are incorruptible, aren't you? Huh? You won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness. And I won't kill you because you're just too much fun. I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
I think you and I are destined to do this forever. And I hope people really get that and where I'm going with that. Oh, my co-host is here. Hold on.
Peace, brother.
Mr. Big Dev.
Peace, brother. What's going on, man?
What's up?
Nothing, man. Yo, that right there is so true to the point, man. I can't even think of nothing else. Like, so I mean, I've heard that before, but now I really said that is definitely us with them. That is definitely us with them. It's crazy.
We have put them
right.
at the center of our universe.
That same battle forever. That same battle forever.
Yeah, and like I said, they having fun. You know, it's like it's fun to fight against this enemy perpetually.
Right. He said, "You won't kill me because you can't, and I won't kill you because you're too fun. Too fun for me to kill you. It's just fun."
Who am I going to play with if you're dead?
Right. Who am I going to play with once you're all gone? Because nobody else is paying me no attention. So, but y'all.
Yeah, racism, white supremacy. Racism, white supremacy. Racism, white supremacy. If we go to Africa, racism, white supremacy. If we go to the moon, racism, white supremacy.
White supremacy.
We go to Mars, racism, white supremacy. If we go to another solar system,
racism.
You know, we got the yellow sun here. If we go to the red sun, it's going to be racism, white supremacy.
Racism, white supremacy.
We love them. We love them. That's the reason why when we talk about going to get an independent nation state, what you're really doing is cock blocking.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they say. How you gonna fuck with exactly? How you gonna take my pussy away from me, nigga? You know? That's how they look at it. You niggas trying to take the pussy away. We're gonna just fucking check y'all.
Yeah. It's like you're involved with, you know, you trying to rap to some bad chick and y'all arguing and fighting with each other, and you come and say, "Yo, son, let's get out of here. This chick is obviously..." No, what you talking about, son?
What the fuck are you talking about? Let's leave, nigga.
You hating?
Nigga, I'm still, don't you see me over here arguing with this bitch? I'm staying here, man. You don't see me over here arguing with this bitch? The bitch ain't paying you no attention, though, son. Yo, nigga, let me just keep doing my thing. Mind your business, you cock-blocking ass nigga. That's how it goes.
Yeah, you probably trying to rap to her.
Yeah, you trying to get her, nigga. You know you trying to get my chick. You know, your chick is everybody's chick, son. So you know, you can't tell a nigga a chick that he messing with is a hoe. Automatically, you hate him.
Exactly. And that's how it is with, you know, Black Power Americans and militant integrationists and the white man. They just destined to do this forever, just like Batman and the Joker. Destined. And anybody coming up with a solution and anybody talking about ending that dysfunctional relationship and actually starting something of your own, it's like when you're in the streets and you see a dude fighting, his chick, and they going at it, and you come across thinking that you're trying to save her from him, and then both of them jump on your ass.
Right.
Isn't that what goes on when we start talking about land, infrastructure, and nationhood? When we start talking about an independent nation state for descendants and POWs of the transatlantic slave trade, when we start talking that shit, both the white man and the Black Power American will jump on us.
What? You think they won't? Hell, you mean you going somewhere?
No, you can't go nowhere. The same white man that just got through telling you how you ain't shit and how you're destroying his country will turn around and tell you, where you going? What, you going somewhere?
Yeah, where you going? Or better yet, he'll say to you, monkey motherfuckers need to go back to Africa. Well, I'm going. You motherfuckers ain't. Blow that plane up.
Yeah, you need to go. Why don't you take your ass back to Africa? Okay, we're going back to Africa. Wait a minute. You can't go back to Africa.
Wait a minute. You can't go back to Africa because you got to take off on our runways. No, you can't go back to Africa. Make up your goddamn mind, man.
It's amazing. Contradictions abound. If you notice, the contradictions of the white man in America is the same contradictions that the Black Power Americans and the militant integrationists have. Both of them talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Right.
The white man, we just showed his contradiction. He'll tell us that we ain't shit. We should go back to Africa, blah, 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 blah. And then when we decide, all right, you know what? Maybe we need to get out of here and go back to Africa. Whoa, you can't do nothing on your own.
You can't do nothing. You can't do that on your own, crazy.
You might as well stay here. But I thought we wasn't shit.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought we wasn't shit. You don't need me.
You lucky you got me.
You got to stay here. But you better stay here and be shit.
You lucky you got me. You should be honored that I'm letting you live here. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like when an abusive boyfriend says to his girl,
yes, it does.
Nobody wants you. You'll never be able to get another man. You might as well stay with me, and you're lucky that I'm fucking with you.
Right.
Doesn't that sound familiar? And yet we go for that as a people, as a collective. We go for that bullshit. But super seniors, man. Let's talk about super seniors.
Super seniors.
Now, let's talk about. I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to ask you a question. Now, before you came into knowledge of self, I'm sure you've been through many chambers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Like you was probably in the religious chamber for a while.
Yes.
Because I know I was. Like we usually raised in Christian households.
Yep, there you go.
What brought you out of the religious chamber, and then what was the next chamber you went into?
Well, the first chamber I went into was Nation of God and Earth. And because when I was younger, I can't count the church thing going in because I didn't even pay that shit no attention. I used to just go to church to get girls when I was a kid. Like it was bunch of girls going there, and I would be there on Sunday just to see the girls and whatever. But what I first took seriously was the Nation of God and Earth. I did that, and then what led me out of that was just going through studies and started recognizing that some of the facts that were supposed to be actual facts was definitely wrong facts. So that's when I started studying Islam. And in Islam, I felt some things about, and then I got back into Christianity. And I got back into Christianity. This time, when I got back into Christianity, I was able to understand it better than I was before. And I can't front. I was a Jesus dude at one time. I was a real Jesus dude. But then I started listening to brothers like y'all because I've always had this. This shit don't sound right to me shit in my head. So when I started listening to brothers like y'all and I started getting more books and I started reading more and I started looking and doing my own research, and the one thing that changed me the most was I was talking to a brother and he said to me, yo, it's fine for you to want to worship something or praise something. He said, but out of all the gods in the world, you choose to worship the God of your oppressor. And when he said that, the light went off. I said, oh, shit, that's what it is. And from that point on, brother, that was it. And now, man, I just get knowledge from everywhere. I don't knock anybody for what they believe in or what they do. My mother's a devout Christian. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I can't knock her for what she did. And that's the only ones that I don't never try to knock them for it. Younger cats today, I let them know you bugging the hell out. Like, there's too much knowledge out here for you to be sitting here caught up like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the only one I give cats because, hey, they've been doing this for hundreds of years. So I understand it. And then now, man, it's strictly, the higher power is me. That's how I look at it myself, man. I look at myself that way, and that's it, man. And I come to the realization that, to get power, you got to control people's minds, right? So that's why all this shit was created.
Now, what led you to, like, were you ever, because I was, so there's no shame in it, were you ever a nation within a nation, dude?
I've always wanted to get, you know what, tell you the truth, dog? I've always never liked how we was treated. And my problem was that I never found nobody to me and you started kicking it that thought like me, like, yo, I can't fuck with this place. You know what I'm saying? But then I was going off of people's understanding of Africa, about the jungles and all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that type of shit. Then I started learning about Africa. I was like, these motherfuckers don't even know what they're talking about. And that's when I really learned in my life, if you want to know something for real, look into it yourself, because the next man's rendition of it don't mean a goddamn thing. And that's it. And I was, I've been about, we've been talking this nationhood shit for at least 15, 16 years now that I've known you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That I've known you. I think we met back in about maybe 2001 or so. I don't remember. It was so a while ago. But
yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah. So.
But the crazy part is that we've been in like 6 degrees of separation from each other. Even before I met you, we were just in the same circle. We just didn't hook up yet.
Yeah, your cousin Larry was on tour with me and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it was like,
but just like, I'll give a brief history of myself. It's like I grew up, and now this is crazy. I had a Christian household and a Jehovah's Witness household. My mom was a Baptist, and my father was a Jehovah's Witness. Ain't that crazy?
Wow. Your father, your mother was, you said your mother what?
My mother was Baptist because she was, from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and that's what that family, her side of the family was Baptist. My father was from Charleston, South Carolina, and his people was in the Jehovah's Witness.
Wow.
So it was crazy. When I would go to Fayetteville, we'd be going to church, and whenever we go to South Carolina, we'd be going to the Kingdom Hall.
Going to the Kingdom Hall. Wow.
So between those two, I grew up in I was never officially a part of either one of them.
Right.
But I used to go because I was a kid, and you ain't got no choice. You go wherever they tell you.
You ain't got no choice. Get your ass dressed and get your ass in that car. That's it.
Yep. But the best part about going to the Kingdom Hall was the girls. That was the best part.
The girls always easy there, huh?
Yeah, the girls was good. So that was a good reason to go. And I've never really, I guess I wasn't into it, but I had questions about the whole thing. So I used to ask questions when they used to have these little Bible meetings, and I would ask the person who was, teaching us this stuff, something this is one of the things that I thought about when I was younger that really made me question the whole thing. I was looking at the Jehovah's Witness, and they were saying that they had the truth. Their religion was the truth, right? And basically that if you wasn't, if you weren't a part of the truth, then you was, out of luck. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, now I had my brother there who was teaching me stuff about Malcolm X and, black history and stuff like that, and even Martin Luther King. And I was saying, well, wait a minute. Martin Luther King did a lot for black folks here in this country. Like, if it's not for the civil rights movement and what those people did, we wouldn't be able to be a part of this system the way that we are now.
Right.
So I said, well, what about Martin Luther King? Is Martin Luther King going to hell? Because he's not a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
And they could never answer. I never got a straight answer from them.
Mm.
So then I started, questioning me, and my circle, Larry and Ambassador and Mark, and we would dig into the Bible. And at the time, I got to give props to Dr. York, because Dr. York played a part in our development too, because he was doing a lot of things challenging the Bible and interpretations of the Bible, and we would, reading that, and it forced us to look at the Bible in a different way. Now, eventually, I could tell you where me and Dr. York fell out.
I can tell you that,
He
too.
He did a book called Leviathan 666. After I read that book, me and him was done. Because I said, wait a minute, this dude is on some bullshit.
Really?
He had a story in there of him meeting the devil in a nightclub.
In the nightclub. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah. If you ever read that, you'll see it. Anybody like that, everybody who I know who got sense, when they read that book and they got to that part, it was like, whoa. Like, when
it wasn't a metaphor. This is actually what he was saying. I've never read.
Yes, he was saying it wasn't no metaphor. He was in a club and Satan got up in the middle of the club and gave a speech.
It wasn't Bentley's, was it? It wasn't Bentley's, was it? Because I was there. I didn't hear that speech.
I don't know. But one of the things, I was sitting there going, wait a minute. This guy calls himself the Reformer, and he says that, wouldn't Satan, detect your presence in the club too? If I entertained that bullshit to begin with, because I said, this is nonsense. But then we went through there. We went through the Islam chamber, the Hebrew Israelite chamber, the Nation of Gods and Earth chamber. At the time, with Dr. York, the Ansar Allah Muslim chamber.
Right.
We went through the Moorish chamber. We went through all of those chambers. And this is when we flipped the page, because all of us got together and we said, wait a minute. If all of these groups is stating in their own way that the white man is the devil, so to speak, all of them are saying the same thing. The white man is either the devil or he just ain't no good for you. He's the enemy.
Right.
Then wouldn't it make sense for all of these groups to get together and fight against the white man? That's what we thought in our naivete.
Right.
That right there, that decision, that question led us to do certain things, and that led to us being more educated than we've ever been. No matter what Bible, Quran, or whatever book we was reading, that education right there was the best education that we had. Because what we discovered is the bullshit. We discovered the hustle of consciousness.
Right. That the revolution
and this was before I heard Amos Wilson speak. But even before I heard Amos Wilson speak, we had discovered the hustle of consciousness. These guys are really not about anything except their own individual selves and their own individual organizations. They don't care about banding together with other brothers to defeat this common enemy. All it's about is carving out their own particular niche amongst our community and making money from the deaf, dumb, and the blind. That's all it's about.
That's what it was about.
So in the process of that, we stumbled along to the United African Movement and the Slave Theater. And that's where I met Alton Maddox, and that's where I met most of the brothers and sisters that I know who's involved in this nationhood struggle. The thing I liked about the United African Movement is that it respected the person sitting in the seat.
Right.
And that's what I loved about it. You go to any other forum, they try to indoctrinate you into their forum. If you go to the slave had multiple people there coming from multiple fields, multiple ways of life, all trying, all
right.
teaching and giving a perspective. So you, as a person sitting in the chair, you were a student, you had multiple masters, not just one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in the process of that elevated my consciousness and my understanding. And then I point to the night when Amos Wilson spoke. And when Amos Wilson spoke, I didn't know who he was. He didn't come with the fiery, like the Khalid-type fiery rhetoric that we were used to. So at first, he was like, who's this dude? What's he about? And it was a cold night, like I said. I've said this before. It was a very cold night. The heat was out in the slave theater. So it started out kind of full, and then it really, like most of the people left. And when he was sitting there, when he was standing up on the podium giving and talking, I had my first aha moment. And I totally understood what nationhood meant. And the moment that sparked my aha moment is the moment that I play at the beginning of all of my YouTube clips. If you notice, it's a clip where he says, why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man?
Amen.
Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything that he wants to do enriches the European?
Enriches the European.
And when he said that, it was like a light went off. It's like, oh, shit. I just got it. And ever since then, I've been on the path that I'm in now. So nationhood, I truly understood what nationhood was. I truly understood what land was. I truly understood what it's like all of that information that I learned from the past. Just all it's all the best way I can describe it is runner's high. Like when you run every day,
right?
You run and your legs may be in pain, your ankles may be in pain, your heart is like beating out of your chest. But at some point, when you keep running, you reach a point where all the fatigue goes, and it feels like you can just run forever because everything is in sync. Your breathing is in sync. Your heartbeat is in sync. You don't feel any pain. You don't feel any fatigue. As a matter of fact, you can speed up and run even faster, and you don't get even tired. You don't even get tired. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced runner's high, but it's euphoric. It's a euphoric feeling. I've experienced it because I used to run like 10 miles a day. And so after that, it was like I was off and running. And just going through the fire. Now the whole concept of land infrastructure nationhood and in the form that it's in now, that came as a result of just interaction with all the brothers that you see now. Kala, Minister, Earl, all of it, because we've gone through our wars with each other. They'll tell you we've gone through our back and forth because everybody, at some point we was thinking we had America on the brain and thinking that when it came to nationhood, it was just a natural progression that, well, yeah, we can have a nation right here. But going through those discussions and the information that was coming along and learning, we reached where we are now. So my point is this. How can you be involved in the conscious community for over 20, 30 years or more and not come to the same conclusion?
That's my thing.
How can you not do it?
My thing is this: how can you say you conscious when your ass still want to be here? You can't be conscious. There's no way you can still be conscious.
Right. Like, have you not even detected your Stockholm Syndrome? Is that what it is? Like, you don't know that you're experiencing it? Because that is possible. But I think we made our point. I just want to get some callers in. Let's see who's been on hold the longest. All right, I think Mac has been on hold the longest. What's up, brother?
Peace, brothers. What's up?
What's up?
Just listening
Mac,
to y'all.
Let me give him a little history, Mac, before you say anything. Me and Mac have been friends since childhood. So he's going through a lot of the chambers that I've gone through. So you give your perspective, Mac, your personal development, and you not being a super senior.
All right. Well, you know me. I was raised in a Baptist household, Baptist Christian household. Then when I met you, we started going to church for girls. And then we fell into Dr. York's doctrine and the things that he was kicking. And his, like you said earlier, he opened my eyes up to a lot of things about black culture as well as just the religious side. Because he came with a lot of history as well as just, and like you said, us breaking down the Bible. I went away to college and I took an African histories class, which was really good because that professor, again, broke down a lot of stuff for me. And I think he asked me, he said, are you a Muslim? And I said, no, I'm not, but I'm studying, this and that. And he basically told me not to become one. He told me not to get caught up in into any religion. He told me, I see you an intelligent young brother. He said religion is gonna keep you away from learning more about the ways of the system. And I kind of was like, okay, whatever, And when I came back home, we, like you said, we went through a little trial and error, and we went to the slave. And like you said, that night, when Amos Wilson spoke, it was very cold. I think less people came that night that normally came to the slave theater.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Amos Wilson finished his lecture, it maybe was 20 to 25 people left in the slave theater. Usually it was more than that on any given night.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way we've grown, as men, we've gone through a lot, had a lot of soaked up a lot of knowledge from different sources. And like you said, the slave theater was conducive to that, because on any given night you might get a Muslim brother or sister come and lecture. You might get an Israelite brother come and lecture. You might get a person who's into education for our people come and lecture. So we were getting a lot of different topics and subjects and things to build and grow upon. So that's my take on how we've evolved as me and you as my brother, and also, meeting Dev. Dev also, like you said earlier, we've always been like maybe 6 degrees of separation from him. Dev knows people I know. And Dev knows people that you know. So, and it's apropos that we met when we met.
Yep.
And that's my take on everything in terms of
cool, brother.
My personal history.
Cool, brother. Thank you very much for that insight.
You're welcome. No doubt.
So I'm gonna put you on hold and bring another call in because I don't want to get mad at me.
No problem.
Just stick with us.
I'm here.
All right. Who's been on hold the longest after that? Okay. Last 4 digits 7672. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, this is Don from Chicago.
What's up, son?
What up?
Yo. So what do you feel about the... Where's Dev? Dev, you there?
Ain't he here?
I think he is on mute.
True that.
But Joe, what's been your personal development through this whole thing?
Well, honestly, it always been in me since grammar school. I want to say about 3rd grade. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I used to read, Black History Month. I used to read books with my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? And that was like the fun part, man, because she used to take me to buy the books, and then we'd sit at the crib and read them. And I was just wondering, like, how could this be and why? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So,
like I said, always been in me. So as I got older, I kind of strayed away from it. You get older, you get into other things. And I want to say, like, around 6th grade, I remember I grew me an afro. I didn't grow it just to be like, my Black Power shit, you know what I'm saying? I just grew the afro.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the afro with the pick in my head. And this, when it hit me, I was in class with it, and I swear on my soul, white teacher named Miss Berry, I never seen her pissed like this in a day of my life. When I was in her classroom, she got so pissed I had the pick in my head and got mad at me. And was like, who you think you supposed to be, whatever. I'm not intimidated. I'm just looking at her like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? I mean, she was pissed. So she took the pick out my head and threw it in the garbage. So you know what I did? Yes, on my soul, I swear. I got up calmly, took it out the garbage, wiped it off, stuck it right back in my head, and sat down. That's when I knew it was real. Because, see, some people need to go through that experience. A lot of these people, they probably went through the experience, and it probably hurt their feelings so much that they don't want to believe that it's true. But I went through it as a child. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go through that just to know that it's real. But I want to say, I was 6th grade, so, by the time I hit 7th, 8th in high school, I was just doing my own thing. But it was always in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say it got serious like around 2008, 2009. And I'm like, man, it's not right. This when Facebook changed too, because Facebook, nobody wasn't posting, the shit they posting now on Facebook. And I saw it change on Facebook, and to keep it 100, like, people talk shit about World Star Hip Hop, but if it wasn't for World Star Hip Hop, I probably wouldn't heard of you, Kala, Nikki Love, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep it real, because somebody must have got slick and posted a video up on World Star, like around 2009. So I'm like, damn, this shit, I'm feeling this. Then that's how I run into, Amos Wilson and them. And, I was religious at one point, because my mother is Jehovah's Witness. My, father's side is Christian. And I used to go to the Kingdom Hall, and the way that they treated us made me say, fuck them. Because you can't preach this and turn around and act nasty towards, my people like that. Like my family, basically. So I was like, man, fuck that. It don't even make sense anyway. So I don't even want to be a part of that shit. And then Christianity, I strayed away from that shit because I saw too many well, I'm not for to say gay men is the reason why, but it was just too many men in the church that wasn't men to me. They didn't stand for nothing. It was just too feminine, and I'm not with all that, you know what I'm saying? I need to be around men that I know is going to hold each other down, stand for something, and going to take one for the team if necessary for the people to continue to grow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
your background sounds similar to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the same situation, except it was the opposite. My mother was in a Baptist, and my father was a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. See, my father, he wasn't a religious person at all, really. He probably like low key with it, but hey, me and him, it was never we about to go to church, son. You know what I'm saying? Me and him was just out here. It's my mother's side that was religious or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the same thing with me. Like, my father was the religious person. My mom, even though she was raised in Baptist, she wasn't really a religious person. You know, like, she wasn't hardcore with it like that.
Yeah.
And my brother was a big influence, too.
Yeah, so I want to say, like, I'm probably the only one in my family really talking about this. Like, just not scared to voice their opinion, let it be known. You know,
right.
I see some people trying to come around it, you know, but I feel like I'm the only one. And at one point, this shit got me pissed off at one point in time in my life. Because I was just saying to myself, like, how am I my early 20s, and you all know this, you know, older people know this, but not making moves. But that's when you don't know better, and you just mad at the world that you suffering from this shit. You didn't ask for this shit, you know what I'm saying? You put yourself in this. But, you know, after that, I grew up out of that. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you got to be responsible for self, and it's not the time to be pointing fingers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's the time for everybody to, you know, come together and put away the bullshit.
Right. You graduated.
Yeah. No, I was into the whole Morris thing. Then I realized the whole sovereignty stuff. You know, this is just my opinion. I believe that the Europeans in this country passed that sovereignty shit down to these Moorish Americans, because it don't make sense to me. Because, you know, the white people's on that sovereignty shit, like, for real. You know what I'm saying? So why would, if we were so sovereign and know the law and paperwork, why is it we not being recognized? Why do we still have to get treated like, you know what I'm saying, niggas? You know what I'm saying? So I got straight away from that, and now I'm just like, yo, I respect whatever you doing or whatever. It's all about a nation. Simple as that. Put all the other stuff to the side. I'm just fortunate.
At your age, man, you came to this. The amazing part is that you came to this conclusion at your age, and there's been people that's twice your age, and they still haven't done it.
Yeah, because what I'm doing, I'm just trying to put myself in a position where I can sit at the table with some money and we can talk. I don't want to sit at the table and I'm broke and I'm talking to you all.
Right.
But I fell back a couple, like 2 years ago. I was like, you know what, this shit sound cool or whatever. Let me get my money. You know what I'm saying? And I come back.
I remember that. And I was one of the people that supported that.
You always got to play.
I also want to say, you know, I love my pops because my pops kept it real with me. He told me basically all that black power rhetoric is bullshit, man. Get on your grind.
Yeah,
because he saw it and he saw it and he know what it is. You know what I'm saying? My pops know what it is. He the reason why I really got into it, because I used to see Malcolm X on his wall. You know what I'm saying? So he already knew what it was, but during my angry period, he told me, like, yo, stray away from that shit. It's doing you no good. You know?
Yep. Malcolm, boy, I can have a whole show about how Malcolm affected me.
Oh man, Malcolm X, bro.
No, dog. I give my whole. Malcolm X opened my eyes to everything, man. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and from that point on, dog, there was nothing stopping me, man. Like, I think Malcolm X had to be the greatest man on earth, man. Like, he was just
definitely.
True.
I often tell people, like, when you're a Christian, when you're coming up from a Christian background and a religious background, all you got to do is read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and you will feel like you've thought and start thinking for the first time in your life. Because he was just, Malcolm X was just plain common sense. It wasn't no mystical booga bullshit.
Right.
You know, it was he was just talking to you like in plain speak.
Plain speech. Like, it was so, if you didn't understand him, it wasn't for you to understand him.
Right.
It was real.
You read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and that don't spark something again. If you don't listen, like that clip that I play at the beginning of my YouTube videos, I play it for a reason. Because if you hear that as a black man and that don't spark something in you, then you're done. There's nothing nobody can do for you.
You're done. Yep. You're right. If you read the autobiography of Malcolm X and it don't change your way of thinking, it's not for you. It's just not for you.
But yo, thanks for the call, Dom. I'm going to put you on hold and get this other caller in.
Peace, bro.
Right. Peace,
bro. Yeah, man. There's nothing you can say to me negative about Malcolm X and to turn me away from him. Nobody was more righteous than that man. Nobody.
That's right. I'm bringing in caller, last four digits, 2949. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace and infinite blessings. This is Lady Soldier checking in.
Hey, Lady Soldier.
What's up, sis?
What's good? I did not know you was from Fayetteville, man. That's my hometown. That's where I
we might know each other.
Bruh, I'm tripping right now. When you said that, I was like, oh, hold up.
Yeah, my mom's people is from there, and my father's from Charleston, South Carolina.
She probably know Ivy.
So crazy.
She probably know Ivy. Know Lynette Barnes.
Well, let me tell you, I'm from a military family, so I was born
Fort
on the
Bragg?
base. Yep. I was born on the base, but my grandparents lived in Chestnut Hills off Skyboat.
Okay.
Right down the street from the mall. I used to be able to walk from their house to the mall.
Wow. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And whenever we were there, we would go to Simon Temple, AME Zion.
Wow.
So that's, my very, very small circle because I wasn't allowed to go nowhere. Just go to school.
Are you familiar with
church.
Spring Hill Baptist Church?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I was only allowed, whenever we were there, it was usually just, summer break, spring break,
Mm-hmm.
And it's always church and back to Grandma's house. That's it. Wasn't allowed to go nowhere.
We like 20 minutes from Fort Bragg. I know I used to go, when we were there, we would go to, what they call it, the NCO parties or whatever?
Yeah, NCO
non-commissioned, yeah. We used to go there and, man,
yeah,
y'all had some bad girls out there.
Yeah, South Carolina has some shit. My mother's from Greenville, Mississippi, and that's where we used to play to the NCO club. And I used to go up in there and be like, wow, country girls are the beautifulest women in the world.
Yeah, I never had no problem with dancing or none of that.
God, yeah, man. And you know what?
New York is another story.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you dance, New York, please. I don't even want to talk about that. But if you dance down south, the girl would go get you a drink. You even get you something to drink. Man, the hospitality in the South is beautiful, man. It's beautiful. For real.
So, Lady Soldier.
Yeah.
Describe your graduation from the conscious community into nationhood?
Okay.
What's your history?
My history, my perspective is a lot different because we moved around every 3 years. We had a different area code, zip code, time zone, and a couple of times country because we lived in Germany twice during my dad's military career. So,
international perspective.
Right. So for me, as a child, the only thing I could hold on to was the truth because the truth is supposed to be enduring and never changing. So whenever something did not, whenever anything changed, I knew that was not the truth because the truth doesn't change. Mm-hmm. So from the third grade is when I really started getting into wanting to learn how to read. Once I learned how to read, it was a wrap, and all I wanted to know was the truth. But from the first grade, when I first learned how to read, they told me I wasn't allowed to read nonfiction books.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
They
said it was
or the school system?
The school system. Because they said it would stunt my imagination.
Oh.
So I was not allowed to read.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I wasn't allowed to read nonfiction books until third grade. So after that, that's all I did was nonfiction because they already told us in the first grade that nonfiction was truth and fiction was lies. So why in the world would I want to study lies? It didn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. And that was, as a child. By the third grade, I was living in Texas. And in Texas, we had to drink the milk. You was not allowed to get up off your lunch table until you drank all your milk. And every once in a while, they would make you take those fluoride treatments in those little paper cups. Mm-hmm. And me being a kid, I did not want to do that shit. I hated milk, and the fluoride tasted nasty. I was a picky eater. Didn't want to be bothered with that shit. And back then, they could paddle you in Texas. So
right, they paddled you in too.
So, needless to say, I was in the office often because I was not drinking the milk. I would just sit there and look at the teacher like they was crazy. And that went on till about fifth grade when we moved to Germany. Once we moved to Germany, things really got wicked because I was able to see more of the adult interactions with the kids because they teach you what's supposed to be right, but once you exercise what's supposed to be right, they punish you. I turned in a wallet, found on a field trip. I turned it in, had money in it, ID in it, all that goody-goody, turned it into the office, doing the right thing. And after their cool-down period of several months, they decided to return to me the wallet, empty. And I was like, this is my reward for doing the right thing. I get an empty wallet. What happens to the money? So that opened my eyes to you can't trust people in authority. They don't always have your best interest in heart. Can't trust authority. So from there, we moved to Colorado. Colorado, I got exposed to Wiccans and witches, crystals and troll dolls and stuff like that. And from my perspective, I was like, okay, so where's the truth in that? Now, mind you, like I said, whenever we go to Fayetteville, I was at Simon Temple. So I was a big Jesus freak because that was my best friend. My imaginary friend was my only friend, Jesus Christ, yes, indeed. So witches was completely against everything that I was taught against. So, but I was curious, why was it wrong? And from my, what I could learn was witches were into freedom, doing what they want to do as long as they didn't harm anybody else. So I was like, okay, well, how is that wrong? Why would that not coincide with Jesus other than worshiping something? You know what I'm saying? Giving it a name versus the evidence of an existence. Then we moved to Germany again, and this time I'm grown. I'm 18, doing my thing in Germany, and was able to, because I was, an adult, was able to get off the base and mingle with civilian Germans. And that was interesting because from coming up all that time, all I knew about Germany was Hitler and how they enslaved Jews, put them in the furnace, killed them all. So I didn't know what to expect from a German from being a black person. What my grandfather would say, they used to tell them we had tails and this, that, and the third because he was a World War veteran. So that's all he would tell me. My granddad had a real tight lip. I could never, both of them, would never tell me nothing about their personal experiences with white supremacy. And from the outside looking in, I met many, many, many very kind Germans and Spaniards and Irish, truly international crowd that I was hanging out with because I was involved in music and artistry. So that's how I was able to meet all those kind of people. And what I took from that experience is that as long as I didn't, as long as we didn't get into any deep conversations, everything was cool. But the moment something got deep, as far as race relations and stuff, that's when stuff got mucky. And then since then, I moved to back to the States, Kentucky, and Virginia. and that's when race really came to the forefront, race and economic status. It was impossible to get a job in Kentucky at that time unless you had a job. They didn't care if you was 2 blocks away from the store. They was not going to hire you because you didn't have a car. And I thought that was ass backwards. So I moved to Virginia, and that was a whole different animal as far as the racism is so blatant in Virginia. It's ridiculous. This is the state that closed down their public school system so that they would not have to admit black people. Slave burial sites everywhere. You can see the slave burial sites. You can just see the status of black folks. And I started going to a mega church there. And in the mega church, they didn't help black folks. They had it open so that homeless shelters could sleep in once or twice a year. But other than that, they didn't really help nobody. And that's when my relationship with Jesus started getting on the fray, because I'm like, isn't this the same entity that fed the masses with 2 fish and a couple of loaves of bread? I mean, y'all can't feed nobody. You can't help nobody with an electric bill, nothing. What's up with that? So once that relationship fails, I, being myself, wanted seeking out the truth. Because it's like, okay, that must not be must be a lie because it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. Truth is consistent. And I've been rocking with Jesus since 3rd grade. And I've yet to see some sort of consistency other than a collection plate.
That's consistent.
Yeah. That was consistent. I mean, all the different kind of Christian organizations by itself was blatant, inconsistencies. So it couldn't be true because couldn't nobody get on one accord other than to pass the collection plate. So I was done with that. And just been mucking around just trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? It's all about survival from that point on because I had children, still have children. But, as a mom, you got to be roof over the head, food on the table, such and that. It wasn't until the killings started getting publicized, Trayvon Martin and such like that I really got deep into the Black Power movement. And I wouldn't even really say deep, but it was a side that I could finally explore thanks to the Internet because the library and stuff never had anything from where I was at. Because you got to understand, civilians are censored, yes, but military, just super censored. Super censored. So once, I was able to go online and do some digging, I noticed that everybody was like, we got to do this, that, and the third, and Black Panthers. And the thing about history is you have to learn from it and improve. I didn't see that happen. I saw them stuck on pause, doing the same stuff Martin Luther King Jr. did, and getting nowhere. I mean, they just ratified us to be eligible to vote for another 25 years. Come on, son. All these years and we're still on that. We still got to ask permission to participate in their game. Come on, son. So
right.
I was like, funk that. It's because at this point in the game, I break any dude that try to holler at me, I put him in 3 categories. You're either Kunta Kinte, you're trying to get up out of there, out of the mess of white supremacy. You're Toby, you just gave up and you just on the treadmill, trying to fit in, knowing that you'll never fit in, but you're just trying to survive at that point. Or you're Shaka Zulu, where you're like, kill them all. And I'm in that Shaka Zulu mode, and I've always been in that Shaka Zulu mode, where I'm like, I don't want to play with you, ever. I don't want to play with you. There's nothing good that comes out of me associating with you. So when I ran up on BAIO, I said, now that's a movement I can get behind, because not only are they talking about getting up out, but what we're going to do once we're out and how we're going to survive. Because if you look at what happens to any so-called cult existence in the United States, you know what happens. Gunfire. Feds come in, and they don't even have to be doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that they don't want to be bothered with the system in America. And I keep saying, like I said on the last show, look what's happening now in South Carolina with the Geechee Nation. Because they've been doing their thing on their land since slavery ended. And now they're getting taken over. And so doing it in America is not an option. It is not going to happen. If you want to form your own nation, you have to buy land in a different country and try there. That's the only viable option that makes any kind of common sense.
Yep. I agree 1,000%. And I appreciate that personal story, too.
Me too,
I definitely do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There was something that when you were talking, there was something that sparked, like it was something that I was thinking about as you were talking. that had to do with oh, I know what it was. The Amish people, the one that you see with the old school style clothing and the, basically no electricity. Those people, some of the nicest people on the planet Earth. Like they used to come to Brownsville, East New York. You can't get more blacker than that. Brownsville, East New York. They would go to the train station and they would sing songs and pass out pamphlets. And they would just, all I remember about them is they just smiling. Like it seemed kind of freaky, like from a horror movie or something.
Yeah.
And those people got raided by the feds with SWAT teams with guns and all of that stuff because they were selling milk to the people.
Unpasteurized, raw deal milk. Yep.
Not milk that anybody complained about. Nobody got sick and went to the hospital. People was buying the milk and had no problem with it. And here come the feds in full SWAT regalia. So I think that's another one we can add on to the pile. I mean, we done WWE'd up this. We can do it right here, shit, as far as I'm concerned.
Word. Because,
but you're going to stick with us, sis?
Honest folks. Oh, for real. You know it.
All right, sis.
Right.
Be blessed.
Thank you for the call. Now, if anybody else has a call, like if they wants to speak, please press number 1. I see people in the queue who haven't spoken yet. Just hit number 1 and let us know that you want to talk. Until you do that, in the meantime, I just want to make a point. If everybody had listened to all of these personal stories that you've heard so far, I gave mine, Dev gave his, Dominique gave his, Max 611 gave his, Lady Soldier gave hers. If you listen to all of those stories, and if you have been here with us from the beginning of this show, you'll notice a common theme. Each one of us has been on a personal search for truth. And what happens when you're on a personal search for truth, you're constantly putting a mirror to what you believe in and trying to see if what you're believing in is actually representing the truth. It's putting a mirror to your bullshit, as I put it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that you ever get from one school of thought into another. You have to put that your ideology and your beliefs against the real world application. If we notice the pattern in all of those stories, everybody who spoke has done that. I know I believe this, but is what I'm believing really true? Let me test it out. Let me do my research. Let me find out more. Because if what you're saying is true, you finding out more and doing more research is only going to validate that truth. It's not going to be in contradiction to it. And when that happens, then you know that you are existing in that realm of truth. Every single school of thought that I was involved in, before I got to Nationhood, I had to change. I had to change the way that I looked at things. I had to change my perspective, because when I would put it up against the truth and put it in or try to apply it to real world application, it just couldn't hold. Nationhood is the only thing that no matter how much I learn, it never takes me off the course of nationhood. I haven't come across any information where I go, wow, you know what, that nationhood thing ain't the way to go. Every bit of information I get, socially, economically, politically, if you see all the information, if anybody's familiar with me on Facebook, all the information that I post, it doesn't take away from nationhood. If anything, it helps strengthen my resolve when it comes to nationhood. It's just basic, simple, common sense. If Malcolm X was in front of us right now, he would say the same thing that we're saying. How can you call yourself powerful and live under the socioeconomic and political domination, the land, infrastructure, and nationhood of another people? How do you do that? I mean, if you are about power, if you are about freedom, if you're about a future for your people, how do you not come to the conclusion of nationhood?
Because walking around with blood is on.
I mean, it's got to get to the point where you are just in denial. Like, are you not aware that you're suffering from Stockholm Syndrome? Because maybe it's possible that a lot of these people are just sick and they don't know it.
I think you're giving them too much benefit of the doubt.
I probably am.
You know, we become a lazy people, man. So doing what's right is not in us because it's easier to keep doing what you know about. Nobody wants to go outside the box and do something else. Being right there in the box is cool. At least you know what's around you and what you're surrounded with. Going somewhere else is just too much. It's too much, and that's just what it is, man. You know, and like you said, we've been the abusive fucking girlfriend to this country forever. We got a whole bunch of people that like abuse. It's crazy, bro.
Should I play that clip one more time, Batman and the Joker?
One more time, man. I mean, and those of y'all that are listening, forget it's a movie. Forget it. Think like Malcolm X would have thought what he's actually saying. If that don't apply to us in America, then you'll never understand anything we're saying. I would advise you never to listen to the BAI radio show again.
Here we go.
You just couldn't let me go, could you? This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. You truly are incorruptible, aren't you? Huh? You won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness. And I won't kill you because you're just too much fun. I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
Yep. Destined to do this forever.
Yep.
And Batman versus the Joker is the ultimate dysfunctional relationship.
Yes.
You got the Joker, who's maniacal, anarchist, who's saying, basically begging Batman to kill him.
Right. Begging him.
And Batman is the guy who's for law and order and justice, and Batman refuses to kill him. So that's a relationship that is dysfunctional, is going to last forever.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We're going to battle like...
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they go at each other trying to kill each other, and then when one of them thinks the other one is dead, they're going to start crying.
They start crying.
After you've been trying to kill him for this long.
Right.
You know?
I finally succeeded, and you're like, oh, man. And then you go back to see he's alive, and that's when you say, okay, all right, I'm good. We got another time to fight again.
And I don't understand. I don't think people really get what we're talking about there, because what you're describing, you don't care about, it's not about solving anything. It's about the battle itself is what you're getting off on.
Exactly. It's the battle itself. It's the fact that, you know, I'm going to go around them and be disrespected by them, and it's still going to be, because I like that. I just like going through that.